I'm Brooke, and let me tell you, nothing hits harder than realizing the person you trusted most has been playing you for a fool. One humid Atlanta morning, my phone buzzed with a call from my brother-in-law, Caleb. "Brooke, where's Evan?" he asked, voice tight. "Business trip," I said, already feeling a knot in my gut. "No, he's in Miami with Daisy," Caleb replied, and my world tilted. That moment, everything I'd ignored, Evan's late nights, his sister Daisy's smug demands, the way my bank account kept shrinking, crashed into focus. But I wasn't about to let them break me. I had a plan, and they were about to learn who they were messing with. I'm 34, a project manager at a tech firm in downtown Atlanta, where glass towers gleam against the peach state sky. I didn't grow up with much. My dad's small hardware store went under when I was a teenager, leaving us scraping by. My mom worked double shifts, and I started waitressing at 16 to help cover bills. College wasn't an option, too expensive, so I threw myself into work, clawing my way up through grit and late nights. By 23, I'd earned certifications in project management and landed a leadership role, the youngest in my company's history. It wasn't just a job, it was proof I could build something solid, something no one could take away. That's where I met Evan, one of the new hires I was tasked with training. He was charming, with a quick smile and a knack for making you feel like you were the only one in the room. "Brooke, we're about the same age, and you're already running the show? That's unreal," he said on his first day, his hazel eyes wide with admiration. I brushed it off, but his flattery stuck. I was 27, a year younger than him, but I'd been at the company longer, grinding since I skipped college. Evan was different, polished, from a cushy Buckhead family, the kind with big houses and bigger expectations. He'd bounced between jobs, never quite finding his place, and I think my drive intrigued him. We started dating, late-night tacos at the Varsity, drives through Piedmont Park, laughing over shared playlists. I fell hard, ignoring the little things, like how he'd leave dishes piled up or forget to pitch in for bills. I thought it was just his way of being comfortable, showing his real self. A year later, he proposed under the twinkling lights of Centennial Park, and I said yes, dreaming of a partnership where we'd build a life together. We bought a house in Midtown, a cozy brick two-story I poured my savings into. I thought it was ours, but Evan insisted the deed be in his name alone. "It's just paperwork, Brooke," he said, and I let it slide, not wanting to rock the boat. Then came Daisy, Evan's older sister. I met her at our engagement party, when she waltzed into the prep room without knocking, her designer heels clicking. "So, you're Evan's pick," she said, eyeing me like I was a clearance rack dress. Cute, but simpler than his usual. She smirked, tossing her hair. "I'm Daisy, your new sister-in-law." I say it like it is. I forced a smile, thrown by her jab. "Nice to meet you, I'm Brooke," I said, keeping it polite. She waved me off and left, leaving a sting I couldn't shake. Daisy was an influencer, all Instagram filters and fake laughs, but her startup had tanked a year earlier, leaving her chasing a lifestyle she couldn't afford. Life with Evan moved fast. Wedding planning, mortgage payments, my job demanding more as I aimed for a senior director role. But cracks started showing. Evan pushed me to quit work. "You'd be happier at home, Brooke," he'd say over dinner. "I'll handle the money, and you can handle us." His words felt like a leash, not love. I'd worked too hard to give up my career, the one thing that gave me control after a childhood of uncertainty. Meanwhile, Daisy kept popping up, acting like she owned our place. "Nice house, Evan," she'd say, sprawling on our couch. "You're doing big things." Evan would grin, puffing up, never mentioning my chunk of the down payment. It was like I was invisible in my own life, and I was starting to wonder if Evan and Daisy were counting on that. Daisy's visits became a regular headache, like a storm cloud rolling into my midtown home. One muggy afternoon, she showed up unannounced, her perfume hitting me before her voice did. "Brooke, where's my brother?" she called, kicking off her heels. Evan, all smiles, ushered her in like she was royalty. "Daisy's here. Babe, grab some snacks," he said, as if I were the hired help. I bit my tongue, fetching chips from the pantry, but the air felt heavy, like something was brewing. "Nice place you've got," Daisy said, lounging on my sofa, scrolling her phone. Evan, you must be killing it to afford this. Her words grated. Evan hadn't paid for half of what she saw. I'd scraped together $80,000 of the down payment from years of overtime, while Evan's contribution was a fraction. Yet he just nodded, letting her think he was the big shot. Yeah, we're doing all right, he said, avoiding my eyes. I set the snacks down, forcing a smile. Evan works hard, but I chip in too, I said, keeping it light. Daisy's eyes flicked to me, sharp as a blade. Oh, right, you're the boss lady at work, aren't you? Her tone was syrupy, but the jab was clear. Evan says you're his supervisor. Wild, since you didn't even finish high school. She laughed, like it was a cute quirk. I froze. I'd never hidden that I'd left school to support my mom, but the way she said it made my skin crawl. It's not about a diploma, I said evenly. I earned my spot. Sure, Daisy said, waving her hand. But since we're family now, you'd help me out, right? Family does that. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Evan jumped in, chuckling. Yeah, Brooke, whatever Daisy needs, we've got her. I stared at him, my stomach twisting. What was this? Before I could respond, Daisy leaned forward. I need $6,000. Just a little loan for some upgrades to my brand. Her influencer gig was all about appearances, new outfits, staged photos, but I knew her startup flop left her broke. $6,000's not little, I said, crossing my arms. What's it for? She rolled her eyes. Just aesthetics, Brooke. You're a manager, you've got cash to spare. Evan nodded, like it was no big deal. Come on, babe, help her out. I felt cornered in my own kitchen. Fine, I said, but we're signing a promissory note. I need it in writing. Daisy groaned, but I held firm. The next day, she showed up with ID, grumbling as we signed the papers. I thought that was the end of IT. That IT wasn't. Over the next few months, Daisy kept coming back. Each loan bigger, $10,000, then $20,000, then more. By the time I added it up, she'd borrowed $120,000, all documented with promissory notes I insisted on. Evan never questioned her, just shrugged when I brought it up. She's family, he'd say, like that excused everything. Meanwhile, he started acting off late nights at work, hushed phone calls, glancing away when I asked questions. I'd lie awake, the Atlantis skyline glowing through our window, wondering if I'd married a stranger. Then it got worse. One evening, I checked my bank account after a long day at the office. My heart stopped. $105,000 was gone, withdrawn in chunks over weeks. Receipts I found in Evan's jacket showed luxury dinners at STK, bar tabs at rooftop lounges, even a designer watch. I confronted him that night, my voice shaking. Evan, this is my savings, money I earned before we met. How could you spend $105,000 without asking? He leaned back, casual as ever. It's our money, Brooke. Relax. We had fun, didn't we? Fun? I felt like I'd been punched. The next day, Daisy waltzed in, flaunting a new handbag. Evan treated me to a little shopping, she said, smirking. My blood boiled. They were treating my life's work like their personal ATM. I wanted to scream, but I swallowed it, knowing I needed a plan, not a fight. That's when Caleb called. Brooke, is Daisy with you? He asked, sounding drained. She's been vanishing, spending like crazy. I told him she wasn't, but Evan's late nights matched her absences. Caleb, I said, my voice low, I think they're planning something. And I'm done being played. The air in our midtown house felt thick with secrets, like Atlanta's summer humidity clinging to my skin. Evan's late nights were piling up, his phone buzzing with texts he'd hide from me. I'd catch him whispering to Daisy in our living room, their voices dropping when I walked in. My gut screamed they were up to something, but I didn't have proof yet. I started keeping a closer eye, checking bank statements, listening when Evan thought I wasn't. Every hushed call, every vague excuse, fueled the fire in my chest. I wasn't just hurt. I was furious. I'd worked too hard, sacrificed too much. To let them treat me like a doormat. One evening, I found a crumpled receipt in Evan's coat pocket, a $2,000 dinner at Bones, a steakhouse I'd never even been to. Another showed a $15,000 bar tab at a swanky Miami lounge. Miami? Evan had said he was at a conference in Savannah. My hands shook as I pieced it together. They weren't just spending my money, they were flaunting it, living a life I wasn't invited to. I felt like a fool, but not the kind who cries and gives up. I was the kind who gets even. At Caleb's call came a few days later, his voice heavy with the same exhaustion I felt. "Brooke, Daisy's been gone all weekend. Said she was with Evan, but I don't buy it. Something's off." I told him about the receipts, the $105,000 drained from my account, Evan's lies about his business trips. Caleb sighed. "She's been pushing me to take a big vacation, kept talking about Miami." I found travel brochures on her desk. My heart raced. Miami. It clicked. They were planning a getaway, probably on my dime, that I rummaged through a drawer Evan always kept locked, using a paperclip to jimmy it open. Inside were glossy brochures for Miami resorts, beachfront suites, yacht rentals, the works. Tucked between them was a club card for a South Beach hotspot. Evan's handwriting scrawled a date and V's crew on one. They weren't just spending my money, they were planning a whole escape, laughing behind my back. I called Caleb, my voice steady despite the rage. "They're going to Miami, Caleb." I found proof, and I got an idea. I remembered an old gift card, an expired one from a local coffee shop, same size and color as my debit card. Evan was sloppy, always grabbing cards from my purse without checking. The next morning, as he rushed out for his trip, I swapped the debit card in his wallet for the gift card. He didn't notice, too busy texting Daisy. I texted Caleb. "It's done. Let's see how far they get." He laughed, a rare sound. "You're ruthless, Brooke." I'm in. A few hours later, my phone lit up with Evan's name. "Brooke, I'm in Miami, living it up with Daisy and some friends, all on your card," he bragged, his voice dripping with smugness. "You've been getting too cocky, babe. Time you learned your place." His words were meant to cut, but I felt nothing, just cold, clear focus. I played along, feigning shock. "My card? Evan, what are you talking about?" He laughed, thinking he had the upper hand. "Check your wallet if you don't believe me." I let the silence hang, then said, "Funny, my debit card's right here." I could hear his breath catch.
"What?"
"No, I've got it, wait." I heard him fumble, then curse. "This says, Java Hut? Brooke, what the hell?" I smirked. "You grabbed an old gift card, Evan. Hope you're enjoying Miami's heat with no cash." Caleb, listening on speaker, choked back a laugh. Evan's voice turned desperate. "This isn't funny. Send me money now." I hung up, my heart pounding with something new. Power. Caleb texted me later. "They're stranded. Daisy's freaking out. No money for the hotel." I grinned, picturing them sweating in Miami's sun, their big plans crumbling. But I wasn't done. I called my lawyer, a sharp woman I'd hired after Evan's spending spree. "I want divorce papers ready," I told her. "And I want everything I'm owed. House, savings, all of it." She didn't flinch. "Got it. We'll make it airtight." Caleb was on the same page, ready to divorce Daisy. We were done being their safety nets. For the first time in months, I felt like I was breathing again, ready to take back my life. The next few days were a blur of planning, my mind sharp with purpose. Caleb and I texted constantly, coordinating like generals before a battle. He'd found more evidence. Daisy's emails booking a Miami penthouse, paid with my card details Evan had shared. "They thought we'd just take it," Caleb said, his voice hard. "Not anymore." I nodded into the phone, staring at Atlanta's skyline from my office window. This wasn't just about money. It was about respect, something Evan and Daisy never gave us. I kept tabs on them through Caleb's updates. They were stuck in Miami, scrambling after their hotel rejected the gift card. Evan's calls came nonstop, each one more frantic. "Brooke, it's hot as hell here and we're out of cash. Send money, please." I ignored them, letting him stew. My lawyer, meanwhile, was building a case, promissory notes from Daisy, bank statements showing Evan's withdrawals, even screenshots of his smug texts. Caleb sent me recordings of Daisy's tantrums, her voice shrill as she blamed Evan for the mix-up. "You said her card was good," she snapped in one clip.
I almost felt sorry for them.
Almost a week later, Caleb flew back to Atlanta, leaving Daisy and Evan to figure out their return. I met him at a coffee shop in Inman Park, his face tired but determined. "I'm done, Brooke," he said, stirring his latte. "Daisy's been bleeding me dry for years, acting like I'm her bank. I want out." I nodded, understanding too well. Caleb was steady, an accountant who'd always played by the rules, but Daisy's chaos had worn him down. "We're ending this together," I said. "They don't get to walk away clean." Our lawyer had prepared divorce papers, plus claims for every cent they'd taken. Evan owed me $140,000, $100,000 for my house down payment, $30,000 for my drained savings, and $10,000 for emotional damages. Daisy owed $40,000, $30,000 for her loans, and $10,000 for her part in the scheme. Caleb's claims against Daisy totaled $150,000, including $70,000 for her reckless spending and $80,000 for emotional distress. The numbers felt cold, but they were fair, a ledger of their betrayal. When Evan and Daisy finally dragged themselves back to Atlanta, they stormed into our midtown house, faces red from Miami's sun and their own fury. "Brooke, what the hell?" Evan shouted, tossing his suitcase down. "You set us up. Caleb's on your side now. This is insane." Daisy crossed her arms, glaring. "You think you're clever, stranding us like that?" I stood calm, my lawyer's folder in hand. Caleb stepped forward, his usual quiet demeanor replaced by steel. "Sit down, both of you," he said, his voice cutting through their bluster. They froze, shocked by his tone, and sat. Our lawyer, a no-nonsense woman in a sharp blazer, handed them the papers. "Read carefully," she said. Evan's eyes widened as he scanned the divorce filings, the financial demands. "Divorce? Brooke, you're joking," he stammered. Daisy clutched her papers, her face paling. "This says I owe $40,000. I didn't do anything." I leaned forward, meeting her eyes. "You borrowed $30,000, Daisy, and helped Evan blow my savings. There's promissory notes, receipts, everything." Evan tried to laugh it off. "You can't prove I spent that much." I slid a stack of bank statements across the table, each withdrawal highlighted. $105,000, Evan. Dinners, bars, that watch you're wearing. It's all here. Daisy ripped her papers in half, smirking. "Good luck enforcing that without originals." I smiled back. "Those were copies. The originals are with my lawyer." "Nice try." Evan crushed a pen in his hand, his face red. "You're ruining everything," he shouted. I didn't flinch. "No, you did that. I'm just cleaning up." The room went quiet, their defiance crumbling. Evan's shoulders slumped, and Daisy's eyes welled up, but I felt no pity. They'd taken my trust, my money, my peace. Now they'd face the consequences. Caleb broke the silence. "I've got recordings, Daisy. Every rant, every lie. We're done." The weight of our words hit them like a freight train. For the first time, they saw us, really saw us, not as their doormats, but as people who'd had enough. After the confrontation, I felt lighter, like I'd shed a weight I'd carried for years. Evan and Daisy tried to fight back, threatening to sue, but our lawyer had planned for that. The settlement papers included a clause. Any attempt to countersue would backfire, costing them more with no chance of winning. They signed, faces tight with resentment, agreeing to repay every cent. $140,000 from Evan, $40,000 from Daisy. Caleb's claims against Daisy were settled separately, his quiet resolve mirroring mine. We weren't just closing a chapter. We were burning the book and starting fresh. I moved out of our midtown house the next week, leaving Evan to deal with the mortgage he'd once bragged about. I bought a sleek condo in Buckhead with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta's glittering skyline. It was mine, paid for with my own money, a symbol of the life I'd rebuilt. Work became my sanctuary. A few weeks later, my boss called me into her office. "Brooke, you've been killing it," she said. "We're promoting you to senior director." I nearly cried, the weight of my dream hitting me. All those years of grinding, proving myself without a degree, it was worth it. Word of the drama reached my office, and Evan was quietly transferred to a branch in Savannah, far enough to keep him out of my life. He texted me one evening, his words dripping with fake remorse. "Brooke, I miss you. Can we try again? You can focus on your career, I swear." I laughed, deleting the message. Daisy tried her own angle, calling with a sugary tone. "Brooke, let's be family again. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot." I cut her off. "Daisy, we're done."
Goodbye.
I blocked them both, their voices fading into nothing. Caleb and I stayed in touch, meeting for coffee or walks in Piedmont Park. He was different from Evan, steady, kind, with a dry humor that made me laugh when I thought I'd forgotten how. He'd finalized his divorce too, moving into a loft downtown. "You ever think we should have seen this coming?" he asked one day, sipping an iced coffee. I shrugged. "Maybe." But we're here now, and it's better. He smiled, and I felt a spark, something new and unhurried. We weren't rushing into anything, but our late-night talks and shared laughs felt like a promise of something real. A few months later, I passed our old midtown house in a cab. A for sale sign stood out front, the paint peeling like Evan's pride. I didn't care where he or Daisy were, or how they were scraping by. My life was full, new condo, new role, new perspective. I'd fought for every inch of it, from the days I waitressed to help my mom, to the nights I studied for certifications while Evan slept. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving. This journey wasn't just about outsmarting Evan and Daisy, though that felt damn good. It was about reclaiming myself, the girl who refused to let a tough start define her. Every dollar they owed me, every paper they signed, was a reminder. I wasn't invisible. I was Brooke, and I'd built a life they couldn't touch. To everyone who's followed this story, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, rage, and a hard-won victory. If my fight stirred something in you, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every story we share is about hunger for justice, for truth, for a fresh start. Keep building your own path, and I'll see you at the finish line.